Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time with the Adapt 2030 channel. These UK supermarkets are going to ditch best before labels. Sniff test straight from the World Economic Forum. Less than 60% U.S. corn crop, good or excellent. That's really low. Louisiana crop 18% down on grains. Cotton lowest since 1868. This bevy down, down, down. Fertilizer is going to be shorter next year. Precision agriculture, great for mega farms if you're rolling in gear like this. The rest of us are just going to have to enjoy the plentiful rise in production based on different gases. Southern Hemisphere, particulate check. And if you think this is the only distraction being thrown at us, it's going to be distraction after distraction, distraction, distraction. That's why you need information like this so you can survive. Let's take a look at crop losses across the world. Investors unmoved as corn production stocks pared back. Well, pared back, that's a soft way to say cut. A number of key producing nations, not just one. Oh, the secret's getting out. Update here off of Ag Facts. This comes from the USDA. Less than 60% of the U.S. corn crop is in good or excellent condition. Comparing that to prior years, it should be hovering around the 80s. Now, for those of you in the states, we're going to break it down by the individual states growing corn. Excellent is that red on the left. Obviously, Illinois and Wisconsin are the two best in the category. But as you start to look through some of the other giants like Indiana, we're probably going to see some pricing changes as we move into the harvest season and first delivery months, September, beans November and December. And following the heels of that, hot, dry weather may lead to USDA cutting and downgrading U.S. corn crop even further. Western Corn Belt states are going to be posting more declines. Look for that. Let's get into some more international scope here beyond the U.S. heat wave pushing wheat harvest down top left. Ukrainian grain exports jump 85%. You're like, wow, if that's all you read in the headline. But then you would look, and it's only 2.3 million tons when normally they're around 15 million tons for the year. Far under. German fertilizer supplier, middle bottom, warning that gas shortages are going to push these shortages further coming into 2023 for planting season. That's going to be the next shoe to drop. Smelters closing and fertilizer production erased. Bottom right, talking about tons of grain moving out of Russia versus the actual export tax gathered during those transactions shows a different picture. Declines in export tax means decline in number of tons moving. And now a word from the sponsor of tonight's video. Steve Forbes warns a big financial crisis incoming. Meanwhile, the Fed raised rates again with the single biggest rate hike in 4 decades. Economists are forecasting that the Fed will panic and pivot, and they're going to start cutting rates again in 2023. Gold's going to soar. That's why Wells Fargo, Bloomberg, Goldman Sachs all forecast gold well above $2,000 an ounce. Ask yourself, do you really think big government's going to stop spending and the Fed's going to stop printing money? Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel when you call. They're going to give you some great service. Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver, and you may qualify for the no fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020 to get your free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated IRA gold dealer for 6 years in a row, it'd be good to talk to them. 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. German Farm Association, areas from heat wave cutting yields. And you start to get this snowballing picture here. French weather forecasts, dry since 1961, yields falling another 5%. And top left there, Ukrainian sunseeds or sunflower oils down 30% on the exports. Below that, veg oil, soy oil drops. USDA raises outlook for veg oil output. That's a positive in the States if you like soybean oil. Drought destroying over 500,000 metric tons in Germany. And on the corn market news, come on to the international scene here now. World corn production, they say it's 1 billion metric tons, down 41 million tons from a year prior, but with everybody downgrading, don't know how that's going to continue. And in addition to the La Nina, Argentina corn plantings falling 3%. Brazilian soybean exports to reach 74 million tons. That's down 5 million metric tons from initial estimates. Were downgraded and then downgraded. This is a third downgrade. And a look at Louisiana crops, 18% down on the grain production. And the cotton, which I featured in my drought video, lowest since 1868. So it looks like the secret's out, the cat's out of the bag, that we are going into very steep global declines in agriculture. See, now there's no more forecasting now. We're getting into the production levels where it's harvesting time almost. And instead of looking like a bunch of complete morons, you're going to start to see the agencies downgrading their projections. It's great to try to stabilize markets and say, oh, we're going to reach this much, it's going to be record production over here, record production over there. But when you're coming into 100-year droughts and whatnot, production's going to be cut. So now the rubber's hitting the road where they're like, okay, we better pare this back so when we're judged in history and people do look back a month, they're going to see that we made some more correct calls. So watch it across the board, especially as we march toward the end of August. They're going to need to self-correct and try to get on the record for giving some good estimate calls here. You're going to watch a full reversal of everybody's calls of records going into declines, and then you're going to watch the markets pick up on this, and the ship is starting to turn already on futures pricing. Now, beyond closing all mom and pop businesses and venues at schools, convention centers, and all these things that we saw happen over the last 2 years to buy us 2 years of food production, getting people to cook at home instead of going out to restaurants. Now we're seeing it. UK supermarkets ditching best before labels to limit food waste. So I'm asking myself, really, what was the purpose of 2019 to 2021? Was that to buy us time from the food shortages? Think about how much closed during that time that rerouted food into, people bought it, they took it home, they cooked. You couldn't really go out. So all that food waste, 40% of all food prepared in any of those venues from universities, like I say, convention centers, all wasted. So to turn off those taps of food going to that, bought 2 years of not having food shortages. Now we're into it, so there's nowhere else to go. Oh wait, they're going to tell you don't disregard the best buy dates. And also they want you to get the sniff test. Remember how just even years ago they were like, it's a good buy date, it's the best buy date. As soon as it's 1 day over this, throw it away, it expired. But now it's the sniff test. You see how this is going to push through the media to allow more food to stay on the table in people's homes. It's going to be a rebranding of your mind. They rebranded you from the 1970s to these best buy dates. Now they're going to take you away from that and go back to common sense. Does it smell bad? If it does, throw it away. And the same thing in the EU. When France relaxes its rules on crop rotation for fallow land, there's a huge problem. This was one of those green proposals implemented several years ago that was supposed to cut back on emissions and also fertilizer usage. So you had to let the land, fallow means don't farm it. Leave it be, let it sit, let it regenerate naturally. You had to do that for a season and then you could bring it back online. But they're going to do away with this right now. So when you start to see all these things lining up, Houston, we have a huge problem. And even the World Economic Forum's like, don't throw your veggies away, dunk them in cold iced water and try to revive them. But what gets me is, even going back 5 years, they didn't consider that wasting 7 million shopping baskets full of food from landfills that they couldn't reprogram to say, hey, do the same thing, sniff it, look at the expiration date, see if it's still good. And more pushing into precision ag to get the most for the smallest amount of land usage. I agree with this principle here. The less land we use to damage for industrial agriculture with chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides, hey, the better for all of us. So how's this precision ag going to work? It should give us a 4% increase in crop production, 7% increase in fertilizer placement uptake efficiency, and a 9% reduction in herbicide pesticide use, and 6% reduction in fossil fuel or diesel usage. Looks good on paper until you realize you need to have this machine for that to work. And I don't know many small farmers that have such million-dollar machinery laying around in their barns. This is for the bigs only. Understand that. Mom and pop business was put under the rug, never to be seen again in our current world. That was other venues for you to purchase food and medicines. Now it's coming over to the ag space. So look for mom and pop farms to be wiped out, whether it be through taxation or through the next step is going to remove mom and pop farms. So the only place you can go to purchase will be the large agribiz farms. So copy paste this from general purchase Main Street over into your food production. Speaking of that, food production, we all need better food production. But you notice the trend from the early 1960s. As our favorite gas is increasing, so is crop production. Tons per hectare. So those of you in the US, 2.4 acres approximately is 1 hectare. And as you see the chart here, everything is up and up. Some is due to GM, increased efficiencies in economies of scale with large machinery, but also plant food needs to be involved in that. And another simplistic look at it, as plant food rises, the orange line, so do the daily calorific supplies for the human populace. Doesn't matter what country you're in, better yields are in our fields. Thank you, plant food. And a quick check-in here on particulates in the Southern Hemisphere. I linked everything tonight's video below in the description box, including this chart here. You can go to No School, just click and go. It'll take you there. PM 2.5, Southern Hemisphere. I drew the yellow line, makes it easy to see. I'm just going to ask you a simple observational question. After the Tonga eruption, 1.5 to 2 times larger than Pinatubo, do you see more particulates in the atmosphere in the Southern Hemisphere? Simple yes or no question. Remember, Northern Hemisphere has far, far, far more industrial activity than the Southern Hemisphere. And if you said yes to that question, then agriculture is going to be heavily affected as we move into planting season. And it does seem we're on a treadmill. Every time something seems to be solved, another problem. We are going to have to play kangaroo, jumping through the hoops and hurdles of problems to survive and thrive during these changes. But please remember, every civilization collapsed because of unstable food production. If you look back in history the last 7,000 years, it is a boneyard of collapsed, what was the apex of science, art, technology, etc. Fill in your list. But they all collapsed because of food production difficulties. We're at that point again, not coming into it, at that point. So how would governments respond is another question to ask, and then maybe the world we see around us makes a little more sense. This is the reason you may want to think about storable foods. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030. 25 years shelf life. Give yourself the peace of mind knowing you have storable foods, and you can avoid the chaos. Keep your family safe moving through this transition. You're going to need to get ready. This is it. This shift is going to be the shift of ages. Hope you're ready, because I'm trying to do the best I can, and there's still, my list is 1,000 things deep that I need to get ready. Get some seeds, some tools, so at least you have the basics to grow some food. That will be a lifesaver and allow you to trade with others. If you have food, that is going to be a new currency. Now, we will get through this and things will stabilize eventually. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.